Shalom and welcome to Samson number 9. I'm your host, as always, Rabbi David Katz. According to the members of the class, we are holding in Samson, the book of Judges 13:9. It's been a little while. The reason why we're having to address it this way is I was a little bit sick last week, so we missed a week of class. And we are not missing this week, thank God. So now we're back on the saddle. Let's go. Let's go mess around. 13:9. Apparently, from where we last left off, which you know better than me, if you have listened to Samson number 8, you would be able to know exactly where we left off. And I assume that would be on 13:9. Vayishma Elohim. B'kol Manoach v'yavo malach Elohim od el ha'isha v'hi yosheves b'sido b'sadeh. Manoach isha imo. All right, Justin Beggar, will you please post the Anglit, the English for 13:9? Can you do that for me? In the chat box, nice and clear. Nice and clear for everyone to read the English for Judges, Shoftim 13:9. Go ahead. There it is. All right, let's see how I can do. Ready? Vayishma Elohim b'kol Manoach. And God heard the voice of Manoach. And God hearkened to the voice of Manoach. V'yavo malach Elohim od el ha'isha. The angel of God came back again to the woman. V'hi yoshevet b'sadeh. She sat in the field. Manoach isha. And Ima and Manoach, her husband, was not with her. All right. What does that mean? It sounds interesting. Sounds interesting. And we said that's how we concluded last week or the week before. It sounded interesting. God heard Manoach's voice. So Manoach apparently has such prowess of prayer that God heard and sent the angel again. We can deduce from that, Justin Becker, that Manoach has the ability in prayer to summon angels. Does that impress any of you guys? Are any of you guys impressed with that? I'm impressed with that. That's not a small thing, is it? That's some pretty wild stuff. So the angel comes back, who we said is Pinchas, to the woman, and she was sitting in the field. And very interestingly enough, have any of you ever heard of Isaac? Any of you guys ever heard of Isaac? One of the patriarchs? Wasn't Isaac standing praying in the field? Give me a big one. Hello. Give me a big one. And is Isaac a man? Last time I checked, Isaac was a guy. Is that right? Am I right about that? And the wife of Manoach is a woman. Is that right? And look how perfectly the scripture is written. The man Isaac stands praying in the field. And the woman, Malchus, right? Woman, Malchus, woman, who is an aspect of sitting. Was she standing in the field? Type 2, type 2, type 2. She was sitting in the field. Isn't that nice? The scripture knows what it's talking about. Of course the woman was sitting in the field because she would not be standing. Malchus sits, Zeranpin stands. Well, Manoach isha ein imo. And Manoach was not with her. It's already beautiful Hebrew, is it not? Because it fits according to the way it should be. Again, Metzudas David, Ratzulaymer, what do you mean by the voice of Manoach? Means to say that he filled his request. Im shalo hutzrach shahari lo ha'yisiv dvar. He didn't need to add on superfluous things. He didn't add on to it. All right. Now we're back into the Torah Tamima. We're going to quote Midrash Rabbah. By the way, if you're wondering what book I'm reading out of, I don't know if I've made that clear for the last couple of weeks. How many of you have ever heard of Mikroskidolos? One. The collection of commentaries, classic commentaries on Scripture. I am reading from a type of Mikroskidolos. It's called the Torah Tamima. Torah Tamima is a great set. It brings classic commentary, and then it brings pertinent commentary that you need in order to fully chop what's going on. All right. So I'm reading from the Torah Tamima, which is a type of rendition of or modified. I like that word modified. It's a modified Mikroskidolos. So we read already now the Metzudas David, which is classic Mikroskidolos. We did not read the Metzudas Sion because he doesn't exist on this. We did not read Rashi because this book didn't bring Rashi. But my book says to go check out Midrash Rabbah. And it brings the Midrash Rabbah. Midrash Rabbah is the collection of Midrash on the Tanakh. Where can we get it and how do we spell it? Did you ever see the movie 16 Candles, John? Did you ever see that movie back in the 80s? Well, there's a funny joke in that movie. It says, you don't spell it, son. You read it. I couldn't resist. I'm sorry. Let me spell it for you. Hold on. All right, let me right here. Let's start the mouse. Where can we get it and how do we spell it? I don't think you can get it because I don't think it exists in English. But I'll show you what you can get. I'm going to spell it for you, but I don't think you're going to find it. Let me show you what... when you first found me, John, I don't know if you got this information. I'm going to share it with you now. This is the book you should have for this class. This is the Mikroskidolos in English, which, again, it's not exactly the book I'm reading from, but it is largely the book. Buy this book, John. That is not a suggestion. That is an order. Buy that book. This is the Mikroskidolos roughly in English. You have a sale. It ends in 17 days, 22 hours, 22 minutes, and 21 seconds for $18.36. You save $4.59. Torah Tamima is only in English, but what you're missing from what I have is my book brings Midrash and yours doesn't. For that rate, I suggest you talk to Justin Becker. Justin seems to be able to find these things in English pretty well. You guys can work together and try to find the Midrashim in English on the internet or from whatever you can do. But there's really not great translation in print of a set per se of Midrash. But Garam seemed to be able to find things, so I suggest work with your peers. You guys can get the pages of Midrash as I bring it up. All right. Midrash Rabbah. The angel came back. Vayishma Elohim b'kol Manoach. Lama choyzer hamalech etzel ha'isha. The book of Judges, we have it. That is one you are talking about. Yes. That's what we're using. But again, the only difference of what I have, Rabbi Google would never let you down, Justin Becker, as long as you know how to use Rabbi Google. But again, all you're missing is the Midrashim, and I can't help that. The question is, why did the angel go back to the woman, Justin, and not by Manoach? Isn't that a good question? Shalolefso divra v'rishonim she'amar le'isha. That's interesting. Shalolefso divra v'rishonim she'amar le'isha. That he should not render null and void the words that he spoke initially to the woman. You're going to ask, what are those words, Loretta 1R? And don't you worry, the commentary has you in mind. Shahari Amar La Shihikara. Remember, he said to her that she was barren. But in Yira Etzel Manoach, if he would have appeared by Manoach, Yuchrach Lishanis Divra Michmas Shalom. By Manoach, if the angel would have come to Manoach. Let me ask you a question. You guys want a question? How many of you have ever heard of a woman? Has anybody ever heard of a woman before? How many of you have ever heard of a man? All right. Let's say that I'm one of those guys in the mall that does a survey for some strange company, type 1. And we take the couple aside, Bob and Jane. You know Bob and Jane? I say, all right, Jane, stand here. Bob, you come with me. And I say, Bob, have you ever tried to eat a bowl of cereals of Wheaties? He says, yes, I love Wheaties. I say, great, Bob. Do you like to put sugar on your Wheaties? Or what do you put on your Wheaties? He says, I use 1 teaspoon of sugar. Great, Bob. Do you like to have orange juice with your Wheaties? Yes, I drink orange juice with Wheaties. I say, thanks, Bob. You're a great citizen. Hatzlacha. Then I call over Jane. Jane, come with me. Will I speak to Jane the same exact way I spoke with Bob? No, I won't. Because the way that most people work, I'm going to say, hi, Jane, how are you? I'm doing fine. How are you doing? I'm doing quite well, Jane. Thank you for asking about my well-being. Jane, you look like a very healthy woman. Tell me, do you ever eat Wheaties? She says, yes, I love my Wheaties. Well, I'm sure you're pretty conscientious about things, Jane. Do you like it sweet or bitter, Jane? Oh, I like it sweet. You know, me and my husband Bob, we put a teaspoon of sugar. Right, but already I'm addressing Jane differently, correct? So that's the answer. The angel already spoke a certain nusach style with the wife of Manoach, right? And now, if the angel comes to Manoach, and it's Pinchas, who's a man's man, by the way, he is a reincarnation of Isaac, he's going to have to talk to Manoach differently with different words. Didn't we say, Justin Becker, that these words are prophetic last week, 2 weeks ago? Didn't we say that? That this is some of the most prophetic words in the Tanakh because it's dafka, prophetic in nature. Didn't we say that? Type 1. So when we saw that it was in perfect pitch that she was sitting, that is again a testimony to the clarity of the prophecy of these words. This is, again, some of the most prophetic prose. That's a good way of saying it, isn't it? The best prophetic prose of Scripture. So now, if we're going to read Scripture, and the angel comes to Manoach, Justin Becker, will Scripture fundamentally change? Where are John? What do you say? The angel comes to Manoach. We're reading it, and it's going to be fundamentally different literature, right? It's akin to if we talk to a man and a woman, and the angel comes to the man and be like, hey, dude, how's it going, man? Yeah, don't worry. She's going to give birth. It'll be all right. And if it comes to the woman, oh, hello, how are you? Thank God, Baruch Hashem. Yes, I'm quite well, thank you. Yes, so don't worry, don't worry. Soon you will give birth to a wonderful lad. His name, Samson. And for the sake of scripture, we don't want it to change the language. So if we have to deal with Manoach, the language of Pinchas will change. And that changes reality. We don't want to change reality. If you remember, the angel has set up reality in how he has spoken to the woman. So the angel cannot appear to Manoach because it's the language that contains the mazel that goes into Hazelelponi that becomes what is called Samson. Have any of you ever attended my mazel class before? Don't we say in the mazel class that the formation of the what do you call it, the gestation, or whatever it's called, right, of the development of the child in the womb and the conception and all these things is delicate mazel. So if it comes through Manoach, we're going to change the mazel of the boy. And isn't the entire premise of the Samson class to understand the mazel of Samson? Well, there you found it. Samson's mazel is called don't talk to Manoach because he's a guy and the guy's not part of this equation. It's a female mazel. Remember Hazelelponi? Yeah, I remember her. Remember her? Amazing woman, isn't she? Why does it count and pay to say that she's an amazing woman? Because that is the mazel of Samson, isn't it? Is it really about Hazelelponi, or the fact that Hazelelponi is the conduit and the conductor of the mazel that becomes Samson? Type 1. All right. And by the way, the reason why the angel would have to change the language for Manoach is in order to maintain peace between Manoach and Hazelelponi. Right? Because if you're going to tell two accounts of one story because of male-female issues, so then you're going to have a natural argument, right? Right, we're going to have a class tonight, and Loretta, you have to sit in the girls section away from everybody, and us guys are going to be over here. How you feel about that, Loretta? Not good, right? It was a little bit rude, a little crass. So now, because I had to speak to the guys and the girls, okay, because I give like a whole law debate, right? Because it's a legal issue and Judaism law, we can't. So it becomes about peace, and if I'm good at making peace, Loretta would say, oh, okay, cool, I get it, I understand. And the guys say, okay, cool, I get it, we understand too. But that means I had to give a whole separate third preamble to make peace between the men and the women, type 1. And that means there's a whole new set of pros coming in that does not need to be there. Trick question, everybody. What is wrong if I make that third preamble? What's the problem? Think deep here. What's the problem? Let's hear it. Justin, John, Loretta, let's go. What's the problem? What's the problem? I address the boys, I address the girls, and I make the boys understand the girls and the girls understand the boys. What's the problem? What's the problem? Going once. Going twice. No sale. It's called a lot of wasted words. Brought up things that are not Nogea. So now Samson's delicate mazel that was contingent on the angel just talking to Hazelelponi contains a lot of chatter. You know what that's like? I'll show you what that's like. You ready? I will show you what it looks like. This is what this if it was a female mazel, Samson would be named John. If it was named Manoach, through Manoach, it would be named Bob. And if I have to explain it to both of them, this is what John's name would look like. You get my point? Do you get my point? That's what the name would look like in Mazel language. All right? So now this fellow John would we can figure out John, this version of John, not you, John. This version of John from last night's Kabbalah and Mazel. Can we understand this guy? What is all that chatter after the name John there? That's called Klippa. Can you see why it's called Klippa? And John's going to have a lot of problems because he's trying to figure out his name. Then in his mazel is a lot of static, type 1. It's, this guy, he is going to have such a mazel. It's like, his name is going to be John, and people, for whatever reason, he's going to have a weird mazel. Everyone's going to insist on calling him Bob, right? Everyone's going to call him Bob, and he's going to give up. And he'll say, okay, I can't fight it. My name's Bob. So they're like, what's your name? And he gets anxiety. He says, Bob. They say, all right, Bob, can I see your driver's license? Is this you? It says John. Yeah, well, So you can imagine this guy's life, right? He is confused. So if the angel comes and talks to Manoach, and then the woman, Hazelelponi, and then he's got to make peace, and that is the mazel factor that goes into Samson. Samson would be a hero in Klippa, type 1. Samson would be a hero in Klippa, type 1. He would be a prize fight boxer. He would be an MMA star. He would not be a holy hero. But because Manoach davened that the angel should come and he talked to Hazelelponi, guess what Samson became? A holy hero. Samson never had an issue understanding his name. Lafib Shuto. Type 1. All right. Where are we at here? 851. We read that. We read a little of this. We read a little of that. We read a little of this. Justin Becker, I think we answered the prayer question. What do you think about that? What do you think about that? I think we answered it. Let me see here. What is that now? It's 8. Okay. All right. Very interesting day today, isn't it? So my only question before we end the class today, now that we know what Manoach did, here's the answer. You know what? I key-shift you, myself, we need to fix that. The answer that I'm asking is, the answer to the question I'm asking, what was the power of Manoach's prayer that he did this so well? And the answer is the key-shift that I did in Mitzudat David by not being medaic or exact in that language. That's what the answer is. I gave it over pretty well, but the answer really is in there. Let's get that good. Ready? Mitzudat David. Does everybody have their book open? Does everybody have their book open? Somebody please type how you have translated the Mitzudat David on 13:9. Go. Let's do it. Let's see the chatter buttons go. Let's go. I want to see how you guys spell it, how you translated it. You guys got it? It should be everyone's book, the Mitzudat David. Let's do it. 13:9, Mitzudat David. Ratza Loimer. Bekol Manoach. The voice of Manoach. Ratza Loimer. You guys have this? You should. Lemalot Sheilaso. To fill his request. Bekol Manoach. Give me a 1 or 2 if you're on this. Does everybody have their book open? To 13:9. Type 1 or 2. Do you see the commentary Mitzudat David? You shouldn't have it in there. Yes? So type it. Type what you have written in English for the Mitzudat David. I know it's in the Hebrew. I would assume they have it in English, no? Right, so Lamala Shela, so to fulfill his inquiry, Im Shalo Hutzrach. That's what I'm bothered by. Im Shalo Hutzrach. Shahari lo hoisif tavar. That behold, he didn't add anything. Im Shalo Hutzrach. Ratzaloimer the Malashiliso. Im Shalo Hutzrach. Ah. Im Shalo. That's a hard translation right there. Hold on. This is essential. This is the art of prayer right here. We can maybe build on this for the prayer class. Let's get this. Let's see here. This is bothersome. I want to get this right. Wait, hold on. We have another commentary down here. Hold on a second. Hold on. So this will Devar Rishonim Sha'amali Isha. Devar Acher. Kadei Lechaveva Be'enov. Kadei Lechavava Be'enov. In order to be beloved in his eyes. The she should be beloved in his eyes. Shainira Etzla HaMolech Pamayim. That the angel appeared by her so that Hazelelponi would be beloved in his eyes, Manoach's eyes, that the angel appeared to her twice. And we know that that's the whole thing. Remember, Hazelelponi means the angel appeared to her twice. So her name is contingent. Wow. So if Samson's name is contingent, Hazelelponi's name is contingent, and the Hazelelponi name comes from the angel, we answered the question, why was Hazelelponi called Hazelelponi? Because the angel appeared to her twice. Why did the angel appear to her twice? Because Manoach prayed and was answered. Here's a trick question. Type 1. Hurry up. Why was Hazelelponi named Hazelelponi? Answer the question. Why was Hazelelponi named Hazelelponi? It's a trick question. Why was she called that? It's a beautiful answer. It's a beautiful answer. No, Justin Becker, you're not going deep enough. No, Loretta Winard, not deep enough. Why did she merit to see the angel twice? And why was that the angel's name? Why was it the mazel? Because Manoach successfully prayed and was answered. Type 1. How cool is that? How cool is that? By Manoach praying right, caused the angel to cause Hazelelponi to cause Samson. If you don't like that, man, I don't know what to tell you. That is hardcore. Hardcore. The mazel was made pristine by perfect prayer from Manoach. And it is prophetically told that way. God heard the voice of Manoach, and the angel of God came again. I mean, you just don't get more perfect than that. That is running formula to run formula to run formula. So what is Samson's mazel? We went all the way back to Tamar and Shem on the female to go back into Hazelelponi when really it's Manoach praying with perfect pitch. And Manoach is a man of Judah. Who was in the women's class last night? Remember what we said about Boaz? He is the essence of Judah. Oh, no. No, Manoach comes from Dan. Sorry about that. He comes from Dan. Wow. Manoach comes from Dan. And then Manoach's parents come from Yehuda and Dan. So it's Dan. Sarya ben Dan, the power of prayer. To basically, what is prayer here, Justin Becker? The ability to work with angels, that's a side point, but to work with Mazel. The direction of Mazel, dealing with the Shefa of Mazel. That's what Manoach is doing. Working with the Shefa of Mazel in order to even create a Samson. You caught that? So Samson is a product of this kind of Metatronic thing here. We got to get this English right. This is really upsetting me. Ratzalainer. Lamalot Shelaso. To fulfill his inquiry. Im shalo hutzrach. Shahari lo hosif tafar. Don't matter. This is hard, man. It's these 3 words, the essence of his prayer. We got to get this. Very hard. What's the lemur? I mean, I can Kishu, but what does that do? Nothing. We already proved that today. Ooh, this is tough. Hold on a second. What's the lemur? Malosh. To fulfill his inquiry, I got that. Im shalo hutzrach. That is tough lingo. Im shalo hutzrach. Shahari lo hosif davar. Lo hosif davar. Don't add up thing. I'm going to use a translation here. Hold on a second. This is really upsetting. This is the essence of the prayer here. It's an idiom. He's using an idiom. That's why I'm not getting it. Hang on. This is important. Again, the kishuf on this is very simple. But to get the real spark is going to yield what Manoach's prayer was about. I mean, this is a great example of kishuf, type 1. This is where when there wants to be kishuf, you just schmaltz it and you never answer the question of what was the power of Manoach's prayer. Kishuf will say, no question, therefore there's no answer. Non-kishuf says, wait a minute, there's a big question here, therefore we need the answer. Kishuf isn't really evil in this respect. It's just a supreme laziness and a lack of curiosity, which creates evil. It's just not inherently evil. Unless it's done intentionally, then it's inherently evil. Im Shalo Hutzrach. Hutzrach. With that he needed. How do you get that? How do you get that? Is that right? Ratzalamer, to fulfill his request with that he needed. Ah, yeah, it makes sense. Okay. I get it. Now, how does that work in the language? To fulfill his request. To fulfill his inquiry. With that he needed. With that he needed. I don't know. This is very challenging in the Hebrew, but I know the answer. I got the answer from the translation tool. To fulfill his inquiry with that he needed, that behold, he did not add to the matter. You understand that? I'm gonna end this class today on a very high note. Who wants to hear what this is in a great analogy? And then Justin Becker, remind me next week, 13:10. Okay, 13:10 next week. Okay. I'm going to say this once. I'm going to say it clean and clear. I'm reading a book called Elements of Style. It is one of the most important books of great writing. Okay? I urge you to buy that book. Chaim told me to get it, and it's a life changer. What I'm about to say is what you can classify as poor writing, type 1. Bobby was often found to enter the classroom several minutes later than desired by Mrs. Johnson, his third grade teacher. Type 1 if you understand, without understanding, just type 1 if you heard me say that and heard me say just now, that is called bad writing. Type 1. Who would like for me to say how to write that expression, that blurb, with great writing? Bobby was always late, period. You understand? Do you really want to hear me blurb about that in my essay when I write the first version? Do you really want to read through that book? Bobby was always late, and it was a couple of minutes, but because it was always tripping over his shoelaces, he was found. Sometimes could be possibly that but my side, I'm not sure, but it could be considered that he was sometimes late. Bobby was always late. You understand? Manoach prayed like the latter and not the former.